Big homie wanted to look like a gay painter.
What are your thoughts on the allegations against Jay-Z?
That was interesting. Where's Jay at? He's mad quiet.
Jay said, they said I the 13-year-old. Let's go watch Mufasa. Everybody get dressed.
So guys, when names like 50 Cent and Jay-Z come up in the same conversation, history does the talking before opinions do. As new discussions swirl around Jay-Z, 50 Cent hasn't exactly stayed silent, and that reaction makes sense when you look at the road behind them, not just the headlines of today. Long before chart dominance and billion-dollar brands, Curtis Jackson was an underground artist fighting for recognition, fresh off surviving 9 gunshots and hungry to be heard, and he chose satire as his weapon. How to Rob wasn't a threat. It was a bold introduction, a sharp and playful way to force the industry to listen by calling out its biggest stars, Jay-Z included. The move worked, and Jay, already established and riding the momentum of Vol. 3. Answered back on the Summer Jam stage in 1999 with a freestyle that cemented this moment as hip-hop folklore. If you appreciate thoughtful breakdowns of hip-hop history and culture, take a second to subscribe and stay connected, because stories like this deserve more than surface-level takes.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those fucking trophies, came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man. I mean, look, if you look at his career,
This guy.
You're gonna let him say that?
Jay was getting Grammy.
he had one.
Exactly.
He had one.
He ain't show up.
He had like 20 now.
Hold on.
He had like 18 since he been down. Look, he had one, bro. Hard Knock Life.
You're not wrong.
He was one. At the same time, he got them shits. He started drinking. His pictures with him. Fucking things the cup.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades.
Because he's no longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Order a sentence. Eminem, the best. Lloyd Banks, cool. Tony Yayo, that's my boy. Loyalty. 50 Cent, the rapper. Still got it, man. 50 Cent, the television producer. Just get going. Future. Oh, talent. Nas, the best. Jay-Z. Good business.
Yes, you read correctly. When 50 Cent was asked to sum up Jay-Z in a few words, he chose good business, which is exactly what happened. Sometimes the most revealing moments in hip-hop aren't the loud insults, but rather the carefully chosen words that leave just enough room for interpretation. From someone as deliberate as 50, that decision mattered. There were no superlatives or lyrical crowns, just a pointed, almost corporate branding. The best part is that this wasn't always framed as tension, because in an interview with Rolling Stone in 2003, 50 candidly acknowledged that Jay-Z's early response to him felt like validation, almost like an unspoken cosign, because, in his opinion, established artists don't waste bars on someone they don't respect or see as a real factor. As Get Rich or Die Trying ruled the charts, In Da Club became inevitable, and the industry had no choice but to pay heed. That moment coincided perfectly with the 50's explosion under shady aftermath. Even Jay-Z acknowledged the change, going on to say that he alerted his own roster to the impending big wave, and history quickly confirmed that. It's noteworthy to note that, rather than spiraling out of control, the competition momentarily cooled into cooperation, as evidenced by co-headlining the Rock the Mic tour and sharing screen time in a Reebok commercial. However, 50 was still unable to resist keeping score when it came to sneaker sales. The rivalry subtly transitioned from recordings to legacy as both musicians became commercial titans, with sporadic musical overlap and subtle insults sustaining the story. Take a look at how that moment unfolded in real time. Check this out.
So with Jay is like, when the last time you haven't seen Jay, so I think people are just gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I mean, Jay, you gotta remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. I'm like,
wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super
you didn't
Bowl?
know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some hater shit. Yeah,
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not gonna do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted them. 50 was always competition for niggas. Then remember Jay said, "Yo, 50's coming." He told Siegel and them. and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like, he's on a whole nother level. You gotta remember, he came after niggas. He came after Jay and Rockefeller. G-Unit came, and people might shit on G-Unit, but with Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, nobody has outsold us, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody has had the effect that we had.
So guys, when 50 Cent asserts that Jay-Z's transition from street-certified rapper to polished industry executive didn't happen in a vacuum, but rather was accelerated by proximity to global pop stardom, the conversation takes a more acute turn. This claim is sure to spark debate without necessarily changing history. The finest part is that, in the same way that he has consistently dissected power moves in music, business, and branding, 50 frames this as observation rather than anger or resentment. Even though Jay-Z's catalog and commercial strategies were already well established, he believes that honors, cultural positioning, and mainstream goodwill frequently follow strategic collaborations. Beyonce's influence unquestionably increased Jay-Z's visibility outside of traditional hip-hop areas. However, 50's transition from criticism to worry, highlighting what he sees as awkward overlaps between influence, gatekeeping, and selective inclusion, particularly on occasions meant to celebrate the culture as a whole, is when things really start to heat up. Because of this, the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show keeps popping up. It has a historic lineup that was assembled under Roc Nation's direction and includes icons from many eras, but it initially lacks one of the most influential performers of the 2000s. 50, and those close to him, claimed that his absence wasn't coincidental and that Eminem had to step in and make it plain that he wouldn't perform without 50 in order to alter the final lineup. That move didn't just secure a performance, it highlighted how alliances still matter behind the scenes, even at the highest level. When 50 later addressed the situation publicly, he questioned the vague explanations coming from the NFL and pointed back to decision-makers with real influence, keeping his tone direct but calculated. Take a look at how he explained it in his own words. Watch this.
I wasn't in the ad because of look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Okay.
I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are.
Yes, you read correctly. The conversation changes when 50 Cent presents the Super Bowl situation as an example of influence subtly influencing results behind the scenes rather than as a misunderstanding. In his opinion, the NFL served more as a shield than as a decision maker. He has made it apparent that, given Roc Nation's involvement in the halftime show's production, the scenario ceased to feel accidental and began to feel strategic once he discovered Eminem directly intervened and made his participation non-negotiable. The best part, or, depending on your perspective, the most illuminating part, is how 50 extended the discussion beyond that particular incident by connecting it to long-standing dynamics inside hip-hop power structures. His remarks regarding Jean-Michel Basquiat had less to do with art history and more to do with symbolism. He questioned why Jay-Z identifies so strongly with certain cultural icons and what that alignment signifies. However, the phrasing caused controversy and backlash online because it crossed boundaries that many felt detracted from the main point. Tony Yayo provided additional perspective by stating that the tension never completely subsided since the partnership of Eminem, Dr. Dre, and 50 Cent altered the industry's equilibrium overnight, resulting in a level of power that inevitably fostered rivalry rather than harmony. Others expressed similar opinions. Cameron publicly questioned Jay-Z's priorities, citing high-profile business appearances while appearing to distance himself from grassroots hip-hop moments. Tony Yayo emphasized this contrast by contrasting Jay's limited visibility with 50's ongoing involvement with fans and culture. In terms of music, the competition never completely subsided. However, 50 publicly rejected Jay-Z's 444 as being too sophisticated and disconnected, implying that it catered more to elite audiences than regular listeners. This criticism was based more on audience perception than lyrical skill. Even on social media, 50 has viewed Jay as a competitor and an inspiration, freely acknowledging that the rivalry increases rather than decreases his motivation. When subsequent civil charges against Jay-Z emerged, things got more serious. Although 50 admitted that he had initially made a joke without fully understanding the situation, he later implied that Jay's silence might have been deliberate rather than accidental. And here's where the conversation lands with a bit more weight than noise, because when 50 Cent was pressed on whether Jay-Z knew about certain alleged actions, his response wasn't a defense or an accusation. It was a calculated pause, the kind that leaves interpretation wide open without crossing legal or moral lines. That hesitancy alone demonstrates how complicated this situation is, and it also clarifies why 50 maintains that he is speaking to establish more distinct lines between accountability and quiet in hip-hop culture, rather than merely to spark controversy. Critics are eager to reduce this whole scenario to a financial comparison, citing Jay-Z's billionaire position in contrast to 50's more modest wealth. However, this framing overlooks the point that 50 keeps bringing up. Success, no matter how great, shouldn't shield anyone from examination. However, it's equally critical to recognize that Jay-Z has vehemently refuted all accusations and is still pursuing legal action. This serves as a reminder that conjecture is not proof and that due process is still necessary. What makes this rivalry endure isn't just old industry competition, but two very different philosophies on power, visibility, and responsibility in the culture. One uses silence and structure, the other uses confrontation and commentary, and both approaches have shaped hip-hop in lasting ways. Whether you view 50 as a necessary disruptor or an outspoken provocateur, his voice clearly isn't fading, and Jay-Z's restraint remains just as intentional. This story is still unfolding, and we'll be here tracking it with balance and context. So if you value breakdowns that respect the facts without losing the human side, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay locked in for what comes next.